Hi, this is the third video in the generative AI playlist that is currently going on. And in this video, I'll be showing you how to use different tools for doing online research and then taking the available sources and putting them into a tool like Notebook LM to maybe create an outline and then use tools that are specialized in creating presentations, share that outline with those tools and create a PPT in the next 20 minutes. Typically, whenever you want to do research, there are multiple options that you might have. On GPT, we have the search feature available that can do online research for us. I like to use Perplexity as well, which allows us to do online research. It offers a lot of different models. There is Pro, there is Reasoning, there is Deep Research, and since I'm on the free version, I only have 5 queries for a day. And then there is Gemini, which again allows you to do a lot of online research because it is from Google and it can access the web directly on the free version as well. So my question is very simple. I want to look at how is essentially, yeah, how is generative AI going to impact employee learning as a whole experience? That is a topic that I want to research. So I can try it on 2 or 3 different applications and I can show you the outputs. The idea here is to jump between applications so that you're able to gather most relevant resources. Never rely completely only on one application when you're doing research essentially, right? Because each application might throw out some different sources. So I'm going to write a very simple prompt. I want to understand the impact of generative AI on employee learning, learning and development as a function as well. Okay, there goes that. And once I have my basic question in place, I'm going to say that I the goal is to present is to find relevant resources. Now, whenever you want to find relevant resources or find your own sources, you need to mention what sources you want. Otherwise, the model is going to pick up whatever it is able to find. For example, a lot of times on Perplexity, when you do some research, you'll find a link to some LinkedIn article that someone had written, which might not be, it might, I'm not saying it's wrong, but might not be a reliable source that you would want to quote or source in your document or presentation. So I'm going to say that the goal is to find relevant sources from top consulting company reports, HBR, news articles. The context of the research should be focused on the Indian geography. Now there are two things that I can do here. I'm just going to copy this prompt. One is the search feature, okay, which will just do an online search for me, which is very cool, which it will find the relevant resources and give me the output right here. So it's giving me something from Economic Times, giving me something from Economic Times again. Then there is something again from an Economic Times website. I'm not sure if this is the same articles. No, these are different articles. There is something from Business Insider. There is something from Time as well. These are some other additional resources. But I'm not happy with how this has come out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to show you another cool feature. This might take some time, so we'll have to go back to a different tool and come back to this after a few minutes. And I'm going to enable deep research, right? So even though on the paid version, which is the $20 subscription, I only get like 10 attempts at this for in a particular month. As you can see, I have 9 available until 31st March. I can click this and this is what I want to research. I can send. Now this is going to take some time. This might take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to first list out, it's asking me some questions. Okay, let me go back and modify my prompt very quickly, or let me just respond to these. So across in this, let's focus on retail and CPG as a sector. And let me say all of this. It's good that it asks question last 1-2 years, and this, and then finally I want to specify that high level trends and case studies and quantitative impact assessment. I'm just going to break this into different lines so that it is able to understand easily. A lot of times when the model needs more inputs from you, it's going to ask, and then it's going to start doing the research. So this was my original prompt. Then the model asked me some questions when I used deep research, and now it is going to research for me. Now this, like I said, will take some time, and because I've specified a lot of things, right? So we'll come back to this in a few minutes. Let's look at the same prompt that we had written earlier on Perplexity. Now Perplexity also has a deep research feature, which I will show you. Yeah. So now Perplexity does not have a model of its own. It uses different models. There is Pro, there is Reasoning, there is Deep Research. You can try the Auto, which will find the best fit model depending on your query. Right? You can try out that, which so you see that is using Pro by default, and it is able to go to different websites and find the relevant resources for me. And you can see that within hardly like 10, 15, 20 seconds, 10 seconds in fact, we're able to get 31 sources. The good point with Pro is that it tells you what are the steps that it has done. So it first went to different consulting companies, then it went to, so you can look at all the steps that it has done, right? What is mentioned in the HBR article, what is mentioned in the training journal, what is mentioned in CXO today. So it looks at each one of those and then develops an entire response for you, right? Now, I typically do not want the response. I would want the sources itself, or I can use the response as well from the three different websites. So on, so it was upgraded to Pro automatically because I used Auto. If I show you deep research here as well, so Pro gave me 31 sources. If I go to deep research, I am going to get more than 31 roses hopefully. So you get this notification that once the task is over, you should do want a notification because this will take a few minutes. Similarly, here on GPT, you can see that it is odd, like at 20% completion, and it has found 12 sources, and it is telling you exactly what it is doing on the right. Here, if you see, I've mentioned retail and CPG as a sector. In Perplexity, it did not ask me any follow-up questions after I gave it even on deep research. And let's come to Gemini now. While Perplexity and ChatGPT is loading, I'm going to put the same prompt. I'm not going to specify any sector as such. And now here you will see that firstly, it directly gives me some output on Gemini. Then it tells me that, yeah, it gives me sources over here as well. So I can expand and I can look at the different sources available here as well. Gemini is very quick, gives very relevant information as well, does not give you anything that is not relevant to what you had asked, right? But like you see, even after specifying the websites that I wanted, right? Consulting company reports, HBR news articles, some of the, so for example, not this one, maybe this earlier one. I don't know what chatbot.com is, and Work Solutions does not seem like a consulting firm, right? So even after you categorically specify what kind of sources you're looking for, it might not necessarily pick out those. NASCOM is okay, right? And we have Convin AI. So you can see that again, with the output that it generates for you as well, you will still have to validate the sources. You cannot directly rely on them. Just to show you all the sources, out of all the sources that it has given me, I can see McKinsey, I can see Deloitte here. I can see McKinsey, I can see Deloitte, I can not see HBR anywhere, and I can see NASCOM. So these are the three like consulting firms that I was able to see. And there's something on this I don't think is relevant to us. Perfect. So let's come to Perplexity now, and you will see that Perplexity has now given me 36 sources on the deep research feature, and it has given me the entire output with numbers and everything else. Is the output still absolutely going to be correct? Not sure. You'll have to validate. At the end of the day, it's generative AI. Every tool will tell you that the output from the model has to be validated, double checked, and that is what will take time in research. It will allow you to get a lot of information, but you will still have to sift through the relevant sources and find what you want. Or we can use a tool like uh, Notebook LM, which we'll be doing. So you can see that it is able to create this for me, right? It's giving me some HBR Rizwan framework as well for Indian LND. Now, I don't know if it has created this or if it was present in the HBR article. We can see that as well. We can come to this website. Um, why am I not able to? I'm not sure what this website is. Okay, it's a PDF with 115 pages on generative AI. So there's something about learning. So that's the best part of deep research. It was able to go into that PDF and then find something specific. Now that entire PDF is about generative AI, but it was able to go and find something about learning and development that we had asked for it. And if you come back to GPT, you will see that GPT is still loading, and at 50% completion, it has given me 35 sources. Now, on GPT as well, you will see that everything that is happening on the right is visible. So, this is very cool that it is able to do all of this research for you by just one single prompt. Again, some of the sources might not be absolutely relevant, like I said, but you can pick up whatever you want and whatever you feel is going to be relevant to you. On Gemini, though, so Perplexity I'm okay with. I'm happy with the output that has given me. I can look at all the 36 resources or 36 resources right here. You can see there's Deloitte, there's LinkedIn, there's Capgemini, there's Harvard, there's HBR guided generative AI for managers, etc. 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 Getting all of this information. Now, if I come to Gemini, on Gemini I was using 2.0 Flash. There's another prompt called 1.4 with deep research and 2.0 Flash thinking experimental. So I'm going to try 1.5 Pro with deep research, and I'm going to put my same prompt in just to show you what different kind of output do we get. In the 2.0, you saw that we got a pretty basic output with simple one-line responses along with the sources. Some of the sources, actually 80% of the sources in the previous output of Gemini were not very relevant because they were not from what I had asked. They were not from consulting firms. They were not from HBR. In fact, none of them were from HBR. So here you get this option to look at the research plan that it has created for you. You can edit the plan, right? You can come here and you can edit the research plan. So it will ask you what change do you want to make. So you're saying that you want to look at consulting companies, Indian government reports, news articles, research papers from Indian universities, case studies of Indian companies, and interviews, which is very cool. I had not specified this, but that's very cool. Neither Perplexity did this. I'm not sure if GPT did this. And analysis of Indian edtech startups within generative AI. You can exclude, I don't want that last point, so I can say you can exclude. Okay, I don't think it got copied. Let me just copy that again. So highlight and copy, and hopefully it should exclude that last point and it should take only the first 7 point. Yeah, and you'll see that it has excluded the last point, and I can then start my research. And this will take again a few minutes for you to do the research. um, Perplexity is pretty fast, to be honest, and the response is also fairly okay, like it's not very bad. So you should be able to utilize Perplexity as well. Now, while GPT is still loading, oh, it's done. It took 5 minutes and it is able to find 35 sources for me. And we can look at all the 35 sources here. There is PwC, there is McKinsey, there is Business Today, which is okay. Retail Dive because I asked for retail and CPG. Now all there are retail specific websites, and hence it might have gone to that, which is very cool. None of the other places I mentioned the sector, but that is okay. AI in Workspace, there is CIO Dive, which is also a good website. Then BCG, CIO Dive, Unilever, because it was finding case studies as well. Then NN Group, um, maybe this mentions some other company information, and Infosys, etc. Perfect. So different websites, different resources, different outputs, and all the sources are mentioned here. This is quite nice summary that I can get in a single view of what all sources it used to create the output. Use cases in retail L&D. I'm happy with the output as well. But do you see the final output what GPT has given? It is quite comprehensive. So if I just run you through this very quickly, it talks about the introduction, what are the trends, then focus on future-proofing skills, use cases. Then after use cases, it talks about case examples, like how a particular company is doing XYZ. Then quantitative impact on efficiency, engagement, and outcomes. It's coding some numbers from BCG. Then employee productivity and performance, learner engagement and retention. Then challenges, data accuracy, control, privacy and security, integration with existing systems. Do you just see the depth of output? Then there's opportunities and future outlook, right? Neither Perplexity has given me such a detailed output, right? It's quite, it's okay, but it's quite decent. It's quite small compared to, quite brief rather compared to GPT. And in the previous one also, not a very detailed output. Let's see what Gemini has given us. And something went wrong, says Gemini. Not sure why, but it was able to at least find the resources for me. So if I want to, I can open the resources, copy, and take them to Notebook LM. Now, on Notebook LM, the um, agenda is that if the tool is not able to create a summary for you, what you need to do in that case is give it your own sources. So, for example, let's say I like Perplexity better than GPT for its deep research. I can come to Perplexity, I can look at all the sources, I can quickly open the sources, and I can create a workshop outline, right? So I can, because not a workshop outline, rather, sorry, presentation outline. That is what you want to do. And I can click on open link in new tab. Now, I'm not going to do all these sources, right? So I'm going to show you one method with this, okay, where I copy the source, I put the website, I put the website, and I put the website here. Okay, let me just not get that again and again. And then I copy this, come back, and I want to add a source, I want to add a website, and I want to add the website here. Then I'm going to add this HBR article. Now HBR might be paid in some cases, so it might not be able to access it because Notebook LM cannot access paid websites. So even if you try to put, it'll load, but it'll not give you any result. So HBR, you'll have to copy and paste the text from HBR into Notebook LM if you want to get that as an output. If you're trying to do some research, some of the, like, even the articles that appear free are free up to a certain extent, right? If you come to that from the same account or the same web page or same ID, you come to that account again and again, you might not get the, you might not be able to access it. I have business standard, and I just take the last one, which is BCG, which is this add source and a website. BCG, McKinsey, all of the reports that they publish are publicly available information, so we should not have any problem in accessing it. I'm just going to remove the HBR one, so I'm going to click here and I'm going to remove this. Notebook LM is quite simple. You can go to add source and add whatever sources you want. I just added a website on, I have the paid version because of my organizational account. So I get 300 sources. On the free version, you get 50 sources. What you can do here is very cool. You can upload your sources. It can be a text, it can be PDF, it can be website link, it can be directly from your Google Drive. You can copy and paste your text. And what it does is it essentially helps you generate summaries from this. It gives you some thought starters. So some questions that you can rely on. And remember, the sources are whatever you have uploaded here, nothing else. It also allows you to get a quick audio podcast from all the sources, a quick summary of all the audio podcast in the form of an audio podcast where two people are discussing what all content is there in this. I'm going to ask for a simple presentation outline. I need a presentation outline focused on Indian employee learning and development within the scope of generative AI. Now, again, you can specify a lot of other context and information that, for example, you want who you're presenting to, etc., etc. You can do all of that, right? And it is going to create the entire presentation outline for me. I am going to just copy this. I'm going to say that ensure that there are titles and subtitles and the content is detailed. Remember on Notebook LM, whenever you generate an output and if you want to save that output, it's not like GPT or Gemini where the chats are saved. Like this notebook will be saved, but within the notebook, whatever conversation you've had might go away. So you'll have to click on the save to note option so that the note gets pinned here. I'm going to copy this entire thing. And now once we have the outline, we can come to a tool for creating a presentation. So I'm going to come to Gamma first, and on Gamma, I'm going to say I want to create a new presentation. I'm on the free version, not on the paid version. Gamma.app allows you to create presentations. These are not the most professional ones, but they do a fairly good job. I'm going to paste in my text here, and I'm going to ask it to create a presentation, and it is going to ask me a few basic questions. What are the layout? What are the images I want? um, Text content, I will say shorten content to concise. If I want to preserve everything, I would need the free version, which I don't want right now. Max text per card is detailed. I am going to reduce the number of cards that I want, right? So I'm going to just create 4 because I don't know if I have enough credits, and I'm going to click on continue. And okay, that shouldn't have happened, but that's okay. I don't have the creds to create with Gamma. So what I'm going to do is, it requires 40 credits, I have 25 credits. Even with 2 presentations, I won't be able to create it. That's okay. I can show you a few other presentations that Gamma I've created using Gamma earlier. And for example, this was that I was covering in class around the electric vehicle market in India, and what is Tesla's entry going to do, what is the competition going to look like, etc. So this was also through the same process where we first researched, came to Notebook LM, asked it to generate a outline, and then came and pasted the outline here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you the raw text at the back of this, but that is how we had arrived at this particular outline. I just want to show you another tool if I'm able to do it on a different tool. So Gamma, as you can see, the presentations are fairly okay, but I mean, they're quite funky, quite you know, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but very design focused. I want to show you another website called Slides GPT, where if I click on Create Slides, it will take in my outline. Now, I'm not sure if the content that I've created, that is quite vast in terms of number of words, and whether it will be able to create it for me or not. And I'll go create new presentation here as well. This is called Prezi. It's a different website. There are a lot of different websites available here, right? But you can, I want to use this template. It can be public, doesn't matter. And I want to give it my outline. So here you can see that it was able to take all the content that I gave on Slides GPT, and it will be able to create an outline for me. On Prezi though, let me just see if we're able to do it. Okay, I don't think I want to do it this way. I need to go to the option that allows me to paste my text and get the outline generated. So I want to do new presentation, start from scratch, create with AI, create from template, create with AI. And on create with AI, I need to paste my text. I haven't explored Prezi quite a lot, but let's see if we get the option to paste our text. Okay, so impact of, oh, I think this is going to take in on Indian learning and development function. I can give it all this information and it can generate. If I skip that step, it basically means that it is going to go and do it on its own. They do the research on its own, which I don't want. And here you can see this is on Slides GPT. This is fairly neat in terms of the design and the layout. It might not be very fancy like Gamma, but it gets the job done. It has all the content and it tells you exactly what is needed, right? You can see the presentation outline here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to download this on the free version. Yeah, because most of these tools are not free, so you will not be able to download that, right? But just sharing with you that there are different tools that you can go back and explore. I'm not sure if there's a tool that is absolutely free for you to create presentations, but I can quickly demonstrate Claude to you as well. This might take a few seconds, and on Claude what I can do is I can say that I can paste my entire outline. I can say I want you to create a presentation 16 by 9 format, make it visually aesthetic, follow McKinsey style, give me the HTML, CSS and JS in a single file, and it's going to create a presentation for you, right? So we'll have to wait for a few seconds while it creates the code. And once it creates the code, you can copy and paste this code, save it on Notepad as a .html file, and it will open up in the browser. So this was the output of Slides GPT while the code is being generated. This is the output of Prezi. Now Prezi is fairly crazy in terms of what it creates for you. Let me just quickly demonstrate. Again, if you want to edit, modify, this is a paid tool, so you'll have to look at that. This is what Prezi creates. So this is very cool, right? It is able to do this beautiful design and presentation, and the content is all yours that you specified. Then talks about Indian learners, dominance of AI and ML, commitment to future readiness, popularity of foundational courses, then zooms out and then jumps into the next topic, which is very cool, right? Now, I don't know if this is how the output would look like once you download it, but if you have to present it on the browser itself, it does not make any harm. So that's Prezi, guys. And Gamma, I was not able to show you, but I showed you an earlier one. Now, the process here was we did research on GPT, Perplexity, Gemini. We took the sources and we put them on Notebook LM to generate an outline. Typically, since GPT has already done the deep research for me, I can then, in my next prompt, ask it to just convert this into a proper PowerPoint outline. Because as you can see, this has been the most elaborate output compared to Perplexity and compared to Gemini's models as well. So you can try DeepSeek as well. I haven't explored that quite a lot, but it will it will also give you a similar output hopefully, because that also has a deep research feature. But remember that this took 5 minutes and gave you 35 sources. Now Perplexity did not take so much time. Perplexity was quite fast in the pro and in the deep research model as well. And just to conclude the example and conclude the video, I can come to code now. I can let me just preview the code here. I can publish and copy link, and I can come back here and in the new tab I can publish this link. I would like to allow this, and I would like to paste my Claude link here, and we should be able to see the entire presentation here, right? Now for some reason it has not made these buttons clickable, which is funny. So what I'm going to do is, there's some issue with Claude's artifact, so I'm going to come to code once. I'm going to copy the entire code, and I am going to open Notepad. I am going to paste the code here, go to file, save as, and just call it ppt.html. And do I have HTML here? Yeah. I'm going to save it just on my downloads for now and save that. I can replace the old earlier one that I had, come back to the downloads folder, and just to quickly show you the output that it has created. Okay, so this has created the presentation, but for some reason it has not made the buttons clickable. So I can always come back to Claude and specify that, that the buttons are not clickable or they're not interactive, right? So again, like I said, at the end of the day, it's generative AI. So you will have to specify the output, but Claude does a very good job at creating the presentation. Just to quickly show you what Claude creates as a final output, I have that saved somewhere. Just give me 1 second, and I think it's my week 3 notes that has it. Yeah, this was what Claude had created for me in my previous example. This was using one prompt itself, right? So I saved the output as a HTML file, the code as an HTML file, and this is what it has created for me. So Claude also does a fairly decent job. Perfect. I hope that was quite a comprehensive overview of the research, then transitioning from research to outline, then from outline to presentation. Gamma did not work because I don't have the paid version. Prezi worked. Slides Prezi. This was Prezi that worked. There was Slides GPT which worked. Again, um, Claude did not work in one prompt. I might have to give it a second prompt, but I showed you the output from Claude from an earlier example that I had created. Right. The idea is to just explore, use whatever suits you best, but typically this is what the workflow would look like. Took me 30 minutes to arrive at the earlier example, which was electric vehicles, and this one would also have taken approximately 30 minutes with the research, with the presentation being created as well. Again, validation, going back and checking the sources, modifying the content, that's going to take you maybe a few hours, but it typically brings down the entire time to completion for a typical research to presentation sort of a task. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and see you in the next one.